All right, everyone, we are back again today, but this time we've got some incredible cards to talk about. We had Avarchris yesterday, which was actually a pretty sweet leader, but the cards today are some exciting cards, okay? We're going to dive straight into it with a big thank you to my patrons. And let's talk about the brand new Darth Vader. Okay, guys, the art on this is absolutely sweet. This is when he's on his ship, coming down to Malachor, right on top of it, about to jump into the battle. Oh my gosh, Twilight Apprentice. What a sweet finale from season 2 of Rebels. Guys, 6-cost ground unit in Vigilance Villainy Darth Vader, 5/6 Force Imperial Sith unit. When played, you give a shield token to a friendly unit and to an enemy unit. On attack, you can defeat an enemy unit with a shield token on it. Just so I can make that explicitly clear, when played, you give a shield token to one of your units and one of your opponent's units, and then when you're attacking, you can defeat an enemy unit with a shield token on it. Not the shield token itself, the actual unit. So of course, the first thing I think about, ECL. The first thing, obviously, 6-cost unit. Okay, it's in the ECL range. We got a 5/6 stat line. That in of itself can sometimes be good enough to finish off units. But then we have a when played on attack trigger. How do we get this to be able to trigger off immediately? Well, ambush, of course. And ECL does it perfectly. What this allows you to do is play Darth Vader with ECL. You give a shield token to potentially Darth Vader himself or maybe another unit. You get to give a shield token to an enemy unit. Attack potentially a secondary unit with Darth Vader, finishing that off. And then with the on attack trigger, you can kill that unit that you just gave the shield token to. Mind you, and probably the most key part about this, you might notice that this just says enemy unit, not non-leader unit, which means you can take out leader units with Darth Vader. And you don't even need a second unit to do this, right? Your opponent, it's 6 resources. They deploy their Anakin Skywalker. Fitting. Darth Vader just knocking on an Anakin Skywalker. I had to drop that in. Anakin Skywalker comes down. He's like a 6/7. Great. You drop Vader, give a shield token to Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker, get the attack in. Boom. You knock out their Anakin. Straightforward. Pretty straightforward. You're left with a 5/6 shielded unit. That's it. That's all you need to know with Vader. Without ECL, in my opinion, this guy gets a lot less exciting because you do need to play this guy, get a shield token down, and then be able to attack with it. And if your opponent has the initiative, for example, they can always immediately just go ahead and attack in with that shielded unit. Let's say you put that shield token on their big unit. They just attack into your Darth Vader with the shield token. Both the shield tokens dissipate, and now you're left with a 5/6 for 6, which isn't that great. Although you did negate a single attack, which that might be worthwhile. That might be good enough. Who knows? But really, the ECL potential of Darth Vader is what I'm curious about. Any sort of way to get this guy to immediately attack the turn he comes down is where Darth Vader becomes an absolute bomb, okay? And imagine playing like, let's say Kira Green, but going back to the OG ECL days. You drop Darth Vader in on 6, you get to kill something, maybe 2 things, and then you drop Darth Vader part 2 on 7 resources right behind this guy. That just sounds absolutely ridiculous. So much ambush, so many ways to control the board and absolutely dominate. And the other nice thing about this is it could actually interfere with the space arena, which is something that the other Darth Vader sometimes has trouble doing so, right? You come down, you put the shield token on himself and a space unit, and you get to go ahead and knock it out with an on attack trigger. Of course, if they don't have a ground unit to ambush into, then you might have to wait for the next turn. But even then, that's still not bad. So really, really solid unit in Darth Vader. And my goodness, guys, just the flavor on this guy, so sweet. Love the art, love the subtitle. The other thing about this guy that you might want to consider is, of course, up against the decks that are using a bunch of shield tokens, he becomes really, really good too. So if you're against the Kanans, right? Kanan comes down as a 6-cost, oftentimes 5/8 shielded leader. This guy could just get attacking and defeat him straight up. Just defeat him straight up, which is pretty crazy. Any other shielded units that come down, crafty smugglers, or director Krennics or anything like that, these might be minor value pieces, but you could just defeat those units. That's pretty strong. And another thing to consider is you can curve Long Pike into Darth Vader, right? You can even like smuggle him out, or you smuggle out a Long Pike, you can start passing shields around and then defeat them off of Darth Vader. That could be something that works. There's a lot of different options with Darth Vader that you could theory with, but baseline ECLing Darth Vader seems absolutely amazing and something that is worth building around. But that's not all. We've got a new cost Knight of Ren, or new ground unit Knight of Ren, 3-cost ground unit in command villainy, 4/4. That's it. That's all it is. 4/4 first order units. It's a common. It's actually not bad. Like a 3 resource 4/4 isn't horrible at all. This is one of those units that I think is going to be a really nice draft card. Of course, with first order, this does fit in pretty nicely. I think if I'm playing Captain Phasma or whatever, this is a card that I'm going to be wanting to play. And that's nice. It's a nice curve filler. That's all good. I don't know if a 3-cost 4/4 is really worth being excited over, though. We've seen it with like General Grievous, for example. Sometimes that was good enough. I think we've gone a little bit past that point in the game, though. Even at the time that Grievous was revealed, he still wasn't like quite there. You know, we talked about how Grievous could just be good enough as a 3-resource 4/4. And in some Separatist decks, that was true. So maybe Knight of Ren with some First Order decks, that's going to be true. But outside of that, it's still not horrible, but just nothing to be super excited about. Next up, we've got Jedi Starfighter, 2-cost space unit, aggression, heroism. It's a 1/4. It's got the Jedi tag. On attack, you may deal 1 damage to a space unit. This one, obviously horrible, unless you've got some sort of synergy with the ability or synergy with the Jedi tag. If you're playing a 1/4 space unit for 2, you're like not exactly very happy. But if you're getting value out of the Jedi tag, suddenly you could be a little bit happier. Or if you're fighting up against like Darth Vader, for example, this is set for Vader with all the TIE Fighter tokens. Maybe you're a lot more happy because this could probably survive a few attacks from the standard units out of Darth Vader and pick off even more with the 1 damage to a space unit. But it doesn't actually deal with most turn 1 space units on turn 2. Like if it was on attack, you may deal 2 damage to a space unit, or if it was like a 2/4 with 1 damage to a space unit, that would be something to maybe be a little bit more excited about because you could actually kill a space unit and live. But right now, it's just kind of in the mediocre category. Again, if you're getting value out of the Jedi tag, great. If you're getting out of the value out of the on attack trigger, great. But you have to be doing one of those to want to play Jedi Starfighter. Next up, we've got Lothwolf. This is a 2-cost ground unit in Vigilance Heroism. It's a 3/3 creature. It's got Sentinel. It's got this unit can't attack. This guy looks pretty good. Honestly, we've seen Kanans, we've seen Rays, we've seen all sorts of heroism vigilance decks that are looking to stall out the game, and this kind of does that exact thing perfectly. You don't really care about attacking oftentimes in those decks in the early stages of the game, and this is a creature, which means you can put some shield tokens on it. That's about it, though. If you have those synergies, if you're trying to get Sentinel down, or if you're trying to get some value out of the creature side of things, maybe Lothwolf is going to be a card for you. Outside of that, obviously, it can't attack. So you need to be getting value somewhere or another. And it is a ground unit, which means people can go fly over it. But it's really cheap, right? 2 cost to get a 3/3 Sentinel isn't bad at all. I could definitely see this being played in certain decks. I mean, how many times have you played Pike Sentinel and just left it there? Maybe you got some damage in with it, but it doesn't really matter because usually that damage is negligible in the long term of the game. And this one's an even better defensive unit by being able to trade with some more things. So I could see Lothwolf popping in here and there. Next up, we've got Mace Wu. This guy looks actually pretty sweet here. And we got a 6-cost ground unit, 6/6 Force Jedi Republic in aggression heroism. Both Mace Wu cards, both aggression. Pretty sweet stuff. I think that definitely fits him. We've got Overwhelm, and when played, you may use the Force. If you do, deal 4 damage to a unit. Pretty straightforward and not bad at all. Very similar to your Wreckers of the world, right? You, instead of getting a 7/6, you get a 6/6. Instead of dealing 5 damage, you deal 4 damage. And instead of defeating a resource, you get to use the Force. I think on average, Mace Wu is going to be far better in the mid-range decks. We've seen Wrecker be played in those decks, but defeating a resource is a pretty high cost, especially when your leader deploys on 6. And in some cases, you have to navigate your turn in an awkward way to deploy your leader before you actually get down Wrecker so that you can actually deploy your leader that turn. Mace Wu is something that I think could fit that sort of niche in the sort of meta of decks where it actually does fit in quite nicely. Of course, again, if you're getting value out of the Force tag, if you're getting value out of the Jedi tag, which again, if you are using the Force, you probably will be, that's something to consider. Also, this is another payoff for the Force, right? Dealing 4 damage to a unit is really nice. And one other nice thing to talk about when compared to Wrecker, for example, which again fits perfectly, same aspects, same cost, very similar stat line, almost the same keyword / when played abilities, like very, very close. This one can hit any unit, not just ground units. So that's something to consider as well. You can knock out a ground unit or a space unit and have this, you just hit something on the ground. It's still a nice ECL target, like Wrecker. Not as strong as Wrecker for ECL purposes, but still a pretty good contender. Next up, we've got the other base. This one's not that exciting because we already know this one exists. But this is the bases, or these are the bases that are going to get a lot better. And by the way, love the art on this. Love the callback to the Jedi Fallen Order games. But Mace Windu, these are the type of bases with Mace Windu type cards that get a lot better. Cards that are going to be paid off for generating the Force. But that's not all. We've got some more cards, and these are the types of cards that I have been waiting for. Okay, we only got 3 of them here to talk about that pertain to the Force. Of course, Mace Windu kind of falls in that category, but these are cheaper plays that I'm a little bit more excited about. First one is Verestra Row. We got 3 cost ground unit in Cunning Heroism, 3/4 Force Jedi. When played, you may use the Force. If you do, ready this unit. Very straightforward line of text and very good. Okay, 3 cost, 3/4 Force Jedi. Not amazing. It's okay. We've seen a lot of them though at this point. Ezra is one that kind of falls in that category with an ability. We've got things like Ahsoka Tano with a little bit of an ability, but actually between like those two as examples, I would take Verestra by far over both of them in most cases if I could actually get the when played ability off. Being able to get an immediately rated up 3/4 is pretty impressive. We've seen this with Millennium Falcon, guys. It is a very strong ability, not only just to push in damage, but also, if you think about this, this is like a free 3 points of damage in most of the Force stacks. You get this down, you get to ready it up, you get to immediately attack in, potentially generate the Force again, or if you have any other Jedi and Force synergies, of course, those are all going to work around this. So good tags, although there's some other units with it, but more importantly, a relevant using the Force ability. That's what I'm most excited about. And also, I'm glad they chose the younger version of Verestra. Obviously, if you watched The Acolyte, a lot of people are unhappy with it. I thought it was not fantastic, but not horrible. And this one from the High Republic era is just a little bit more exciting to me. Definitely a cooler story with her light whip. Anyways, on to the next one. We've got Priestesses of the Force. This one's on the more expensive end of things. We've got 7 cost ground unit in Vigilance, 6/8 Force unit. And it is, when played, you may use the Force. If you do, you can give a shield token to each of up to 5 units. Of course, this counts itself. So you can get a 6/8 shielded for 7, which is not bad, but that's clearly not what you're trying to do. You're really trying to leverage all the other shield tokens to make it so that your Force is, or not necessarily forces in the Force token, but your fighting Force is unstoppable for this turn by putting shield tokens everywhere. I don't think this one's actually that strong comparatively to Verestra, but again, another pretty big payoff to using the Force. This one comes a little bit later on, which means I think that, you're getting all these shield tokens and having a big board probably means you're most likely in the winning stages of the game already. But there are some situations where I think Priestesses of the Force could be pretty good. You could always sneak attack this out a little bit earlier or ramp into it a little bit. There are options, but again, all of those kind of allude to having less units on the board, which is something to consider. But of course, a really cool callback to episodes in the Clone Wars. And then lastly, we've got probably one of the strongest cards with using the Force. And this one I think is actually really, really good. 1 cost event in Aggression, Sorceress Blast. Use the Force if you do deal 3 damage to a unit. Very straightforward and quite powerful. We've seen Daring Raid, and it's 2 damage to a unit or base. That's quite nice. You get to, figure out if you want to go unit or base. This one, on the other hand, a little bit more damage, which is relevant because 3 points of damage is far better than 2 points of damage. Just think about all the turn 1 units that have 3 toughness versus 2 toughness. 2 toughness is not likely, actually. It's mostly 3 toughness. And you can potentially do this on turn 1 or turn 2, put a 1-drop in and Sorceress Blast, or turn 2, after you've attacked with a unit, you get to use this, use the Force, and then play another unit. But again, this is another utilization of the Force token. This is something that I think is really, really relevant when we're trying to play all of these decks that are generating the Force. We haven't seen enough units to pay us off for generating the Force. And some people mention, oh, well, there's a few units here and there, like Talzin's Assassin is one, or Karis is one, or Ethkoth, or Luke Skywalker. Yes, these are options, absolutely. But there's not enough options typically in a deck that's built around the Force to utilize the Force every single time. Usually we have a surplus, a big surplus right now. If you've been playing Force-based decks, you have seen this a lot. However, if we get more cards like Sorceress Blast, like Verestra, that's the type of situation where I'm pretty excited about because of how massively powerful some of these things can be and paying you off for taking that little bit extra step to get the Force token. And that's what I was waiting to see. Cards like Sorceress Blast actually are the most exciting cards of the set for me, really. These are the cards that make me want to build Force decks. And I'm very excited, even more so, for that leader that they said is built around events. This is also a Force card in of itself, and that could be relevant. But let me know what you think, guys. Let me know, because we've got some powerful cards today. As I said, lots of very interesting ones. We've got things like, Mace Windu. We got things like the Lothwolf, Jedi Starfighter, Knight of Red, and lots of commons that seem actually pretty good. The new Darth Vader, absolutely amazing ECL target. Is it going to change up the meta? It might, might be worth going ahead and building towards Darth Vader. Sorceress Blast, Verestra, and Priestesses of the Force. What do you think about these guys? Are they going to actually make it worth to build towards Force decks? Absolutely going to at least give us a little bit of an enticement to go that direction. So hopefully they keep doing stuff like this. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And also, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.